David Benavidez is back in camp and ready for his return in the first week in March. He calls out Berlanga and Plant and unloads his thoughts on everything from fighting Canelo to his animosity towards Caleb. Make sure to follow the link to his interview over at Fighthype. For this and much more boxing talk, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. Leave a comment in the comment section below. Right off the rip, David Benavidez lets us know that he's ready to get back in the ring in March and is looking at anybody who's willing to step up, whether it's Berlanga or Caleb Plant. Interestingly enough, recently, Berlanga let it be known to the world that he was interested in a fight with Gabe Rosado, even going to the extent of stating the following: "Shout out to Gabe Rosado. We could probably make that fight happen for the people, for Puerto Rico. For Puerto Rican Day weekend, we could make something happen. There ain't no harsh feelings or none of that. At the end of the day, it's about the fans and making good fights happening." However, when Benavidez was brought up, he changed his tune and said the following: "That's an amazing fight, man. Benavidez, a great fight for me. But before I get to him, I gotta prove myself. I gotta get some rounds in and prove myself to the critics. Not just them, but for myself." Interestingly enough, David Benavidez let us know towards the end of the interview that his father had reached out to Berlanga's manager, and although he won't say what happened, he let us know that he is ready for a fight with him whenever he's ready to get it on. Moving on, David also went on to self-assessing himself in the Fighthype video. He goes on to describe his incredible weaponry inside of a ring. David also went on to state that he backs down from no challenge and isn't an effing duck. Let it be known that everyone whom doubts him and his achievements, although he has become a two-time world champion at super middleweight, are the same people that motivate him to push himself forward in his career. That doubt and his newborn son are his main motivations as of now. He also made it clear that he's extremely eager to get his hands on Caleb Plant, even more so than to land a fight with Canelo. Although he did acknowledge that Caleb is in very solid positioning to land that fight with Alvarez. He also reaffirmed that his promoter is not willing to put Caleb in there with Benavidez as of right now because of the risk there is in fighting someone like Benavidez and the potential of Caleb losing that opportunity at fighting Canelo. This lets us know how PBC is operating under these circumstances. And although he would love to get that Caleb fight, he understands that they are in the sport to make money and isn't bothered by the fact that Caleb is bypassing him to avoid the risk of missing out on a payday. Especially because it seems like Caleb believes he could beat Canelo in the ring. When everyone out there has named the fighters they want to see Canelo fight, they always mention Caleb and Benavidez as potential dance partners because of the tools and the threat they pose to the Mexican fighter. However, as of recently, any talks of those named fighters facing off against each other in order to determine a challenger for Canelo have seemed to dissipate and go silent. In the interview, Benavidez makes it known as to why and ensured that many of the fighters in the sport are more businessmen than they are fighters. Me and him share the same sentiment. Benavidez isn't too concerned though, since he feels like his youth will allow him to be a mainstay as a premier name in the sport for a very long time, and a fight with Caleb will eventually make his way into his resume. He also pointed out that due to Caleb's lack of power, he would have to box the perfect fight in order to get past Canelo, and even so, he claims that Caleb would have to avoid taking damage because it is nearly impossible to beat Canelo even if you outbox him, and that if anything, he would need to secure a knockout win. To make matters more heated between Benavidez and Caleb, he let the fans know that he wants Caleb, win or lose, and wants to beat the shit out of him. His words, not mine. The animosity is real. He is extremely eager to get the fight done with Caleb, especially because he thinks Caleb gets a false bravado act going whenever the cameras are rolling, but isn't bringing the same kind of energy whenever the cameras are off. He also jabbed at the fact that he believes that most fighters with low KO ratios such as Caleb are loudmouths because they can't show their toughness in the fights. They don't have the power to knock people out, so they take advantage of what they could say outside of the ring. This is very foreign to himself, since he opts out of the trash talk and settles it all in the ring. However, if someone does trash talk him, he won't hesitate to fire back, but he won't be coming off as a quote-unquote dickhead without a reason. He believes that people like Caleb make a character, a persona per se, in their head and never turn it off. So there it is. David lets us know in this interview that his animosity and disdain for Caleb is real. He also informs us about the good folks over at PBC and how they operate when it comes to their fighters not spoiling each other's opportunity to land a fight with Canelo or any other big name. And it's a horrible thing for the fans, to be honest, but it makes complete business sense for the fighters. Interestingly enough, a lot of the fans would love to see Canelo face the likes of Charlo, Caleb, Triple G, Benavidez, Andrade, and hell, even better beef, but go completely mute when the fighters are asked to fight amongst themselves. The fans will go on to ask, why is that needed? Why can't Canelo just face them all? And when he does decide to fight one of the names mentioned, they claim that he's cherry picking and is not fighting so and so, and is not fighting this guy or that guy. Listen, at the end of the day, with Canelo or without Canelo in the sport, these guys need to get in there and fight against each other, because Canelo's reign is only going to last for so long. These promoters really need to stop being afraid of their fighters losing their O's and start pitting the best fighters they have against each other and against other promotional companies. If anything, it's not hurting anybody but the fans and the sport, because the best fights are going far too long sitting on the shelf being marinated, and by the time they do get made, end up being spoiled. I think we need to start demanding the best fights possible, regardless of which promotional umbrella the fighters are under, or which fights could potentially get spoiled in the process of making a great, highly anticipated scrap. Anyway, do y'all think Berlanga's too green and is avoiding Benavidez? Is Plant being protected in an attempt to secure the fight with Canelo, or is this just the nature of the beast? Do you think Benavidez will ever get the Plant fight, and if he does, who wins? Let me know in the comment section below. Like, comment, and subscribe for much more boxing talk, and make sure to follow me on other social media platforms. Like always, stay tuned for more on the King Me Boxing channel. This is Shay signing out.